All right. Up next is he's definitely in Pennsylvania the one and only true constitutional law scholar, is about the only way to put it. This guy probably gets away with more stuff than most of us do because he understands his rights. I'm just putting that out there. And he's a great guy. William Taylor Reil or Reil? Reil. And he spoke to us before up here, so I want to welcome him up. And he also worked with Sam Rohr before, and we all know how great of a guy he is.
Yes.
I hadn't planned on speaking, but it's a pleasure. And it's good to see so many patriotic folks out in a not inclement day, but that's all right. Our hearts are strong. The reason that the Second Amendment, but more importantly, Article 1, Section 21 is in the Pennsylvania Constitution, as it's been said before, is to protect us, for us to protect us against a tyrannical government.
Yep.
Think about it. The Constitutions were written in 1776 and 1787 in the midst of either fighting a war or just finishing a war against the tyrannical government of England, right?
Yep.
The provisions in the Constitutions are there as a reflection of the framers' understanding of freedom and liberty and the problems of the day which still exist. Article 1, Section 21 says the right of the citizen to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state shall not be questioned. Anything unclear about that?
No.
Apparently the folks behind us, or me, in front of you, and in Washington, can't read. And that's a problem. They also can't read their oath of office, apparently.
Yeah, right.
What does the Pennsylvania Constitution oath say? It's Article 6, Section 3. I, whoever it is, do solemnly swear or affirm to support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. End quote. Again, can't they read? Unfortunately, they're told by certain attorneys and judges, don't worry about that. It's like, don't worry about the constitutions. I said constitutions. First, the state constitution. Much clearer and certainly much more to the point, since the state is the one that is the primary party to the contract or compact that was signed into law or made into law in 1788. Everybody remember that date? June 21st, 1788, New Hampshire ratified the Constitution for the United States of America and it became law. It went into force on March the 4th, 1789. Just a little history lesson. Point being is, the Bill of Rights went into force when? December 15th, 1791. So from that time forward, the United States of America government has been constrained by law to prevent them from taking any, I say any, weapon that you have and use responsibly. It doesn't matter whether it's a pistol, a rifle, a tank, a plane, or any weapon that the government has, you have a right to have.
That's right.
How in the world? It's sort of like the Homeland Security saying to take on a weapon-bearing intruder with a pair of scissors. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah.
But that's in essence what they're saying. You can only have the guns that we tell you can have, and we can have everything and anything that we make. That's like going to a gunfight with a pair of scissors. Right? That makes no sense. And the framers made sense. They wrote it down. They truly understood what fighting a tyrant was like. The King of England and the Parliament were the tyrants.
And Obama.
Subjects of the British Empire, weren't they? Everybody that was involved were English subjects. We are Pennsylvanians first, and then Americans, in that order. and it's a dual citizenship. Madison says it made it very clear. This is a compound republic where the state government will check the federal government and the federal government will check the state government. That's the first check and balance on the level of governments. And then the branches within those two governments will check each other. That is so lost now, we can't even see it, can we? Everybody thinks that only the federal government, oh well, wait, it's not a federal government anymore. The central government has all the power. No, you first, me first. We're the sovereigns, aren't we?
Yes. Yes.
By the consent of the governed, not their word, not Washington, D.C., not even your local government. You are the sovereign. I am the sovereign. And we entrust those who work for us to do things according to what? The Constitution of the state and then the Constitution of the United States of America. We can do this. We need to empower ourselves and know that we're the bosses and instruct those who work for us to do the job we hired them to do. And that is follow the Constitution explicitly, strictly, according to the original intent. Not whatever they think, not a compromise, not pragmatism, but in fact the letter of the law. Now, I'll just take a minute, if I may, to suggest this idea of getting a permit or a license. What does that do?
Questions your rights.
It converts your rights to a privilege. The definition of a license, according to Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, is permission from a competent authority to do something that without such permission would be illegal, a trespass, a tort, or not otherwise allowable. In other words, you got to get government's permission to do something you have a right to do. Right?
Yeah.
Who in the world thinks that's right? You don't need anybody's permission to exercise a right, but you must be responsible. We're all responsible here. And for the government to say that you can't do it unless you get their permission, and if you don't get their permission, it's a crime, is absolutely unconscionable, and it's unconstitutional, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
If it's unconstitutional, it's null and void from the time they say it or do it. And you don't need the courts to tell you that. You're the sovereigns, right?
Yes.
When you decide, being responsible, then that is, in fact, the law. If it's in accordance with God's law first, and then the laws that are dictated by the Constitution of state and federal. We can do this by simply instructing those in government to follow their oath of office. And if they don't, we need to remove them. But most importantly, you have in your local county a sheriff.
Yep.
And that sheriff is elected by us, for us. He's the primary and the only county government officer who is so elected. Police officers are not municipal or the state. They work for somebody. The sheriff works for us. The police officer, which is unique. This stand that Mr. Keller has taken is absolutely phenomenal. We ought to really employ him and support him. It's the same thing with your county sheriff. Unfortunately, we have 67 counties, 66 today sheriffs, and I don't know of any of them that are really constitutional sheriffs.
Last
Now,
list I saw listed 6 of them, and that was
and
3
6 of
days
them
ago.
signed the pledge, and that's great. That's Sheriff Richard Knack's pledge on the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association website. And I would encourage everybody to get their sheriff to do it. Now in 2009, I started a group called the County Sheriff Brigades of Pennsylvania. I would encourage all of you to go on the website and read what's on our website. It's called, the site is sheriffbrigadesofpenn.com. Or just type in County Sheriff Brigades of Pennsylvania, it'll come up. We post documents actually every week. I post a new document. There's a lot of information on there, but most importantly, we're helping people understand that we need to network together to county level. Every one of you makes your home in the county, right?
Yep.
And eventually, where does this law that may get passed in Washington get implemented? In your county, in your township. Without the support of the county officers and the state, whatever they do in Washington is irrelevant, isn't it?
Yep.
They can make all the laws they want, but ultimately it comes down to the police officer or the sheriff who's going to come and do it. Now, what does the sheriff have power to do? If somebody from Washington, or frankly from Harrisburg, or any other place, comes into your county, he has the constitutional authority to ask that individual what he's doing there, and if it's something that's contrary to the Constitution, to escort him to the border of the county. And if he won't go, and that includes the President of the United States. Oh, wait a minute, that guy's not really president. Anyway, to escort whoever it is to the border of the county, or where should he go?
Jail.
Jail. That's right. In other words, he'll provide a place for him to sleep and eat for whatever period of time the law so dictates. That's the power of your sheriff. We get the need to get those sheriffs and all police officers, in fact, everybody in government, to simply, strictly follow their oath of office, right?
Yeah.
That's how simple it is. Not easy to do, but that's how simple it is. And all these other things are results of unconstitutional governments. We can stop this, and frankly, the people with arms, a lot of people don't want to do it, and that's okay. It's their right not to have a weapon. It's bad, but that's the way it is. But for those people who have weapons, you, in fact, are the front line of the defense of our liberty. We are, aren't we?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
And to not do it is, in fact, contrary to our responsibility. And I say, anybody who says you can't have a tank in your driveway loaded and ready to use, but use it responsibly, figuratively perhaps, all right, is against the law, is outside the law. And what do we call people who operate outside the law?
Criminal.
Well, that's one term. It's outlaws. Very simple. Outlaws. And so when people pass laws that say they're questioning your right to bear arms, it's against the Pennsylvania Constitution, who are they?
Outlaws.
Thank you. They're outlaws. So let's go and instruct those people who work for us to follow the law. Simply do that. We shouldn't have to ask them. They take an oath. And by the way, when they break their oath,
Get him out.
they're committing felonies.
Yep.
That's it. Perjury oath is a felony. At any rate, to instruct them, do your job. That's all we're asked. We pay you to do it. Closing note. When someone says, well, and this has been told to me many times, when somebody says, well, yeah, you're right, but you got to be practical, or we have to compromise to get along.
Bullshit.
Yeah, right.
What's
way.
the answer to that?
No way.
Thank you. Would you say that again?
Hell no!
All right. And the answer is when they do that, they're violating their oath of office. They're violating the trust that they took to operate on our behalf. And you don't give up one thing when you have people come to Harrisburg or in your township or to Washington. You still have all those rights, responsibilities, and duties as citizens. So let's instruct them to say, we expect you to do the job, and make sure that the sheriff knows that they can arrest these folks. Article 2, Section 15, by the way, says that if they violate their oath of office, they can be arrested. Read it, it's the state constitution, and arrest them. And I don't think it'll take too many for the rest of them to get the point.
Yeah.
All right? Let's empower ourselves and everybody around us, learn, understand, follow the law, and join together under God's grace and providence to, in fact, take back our state, our county, and the United States of America, and get back to what this country is all about. May God bless all of us, and God bless America and Pennsylvania. And all of us.